people from many other places throughout Canada and the world. Everyone here makes it a great community. So with that, we will begin our meeting and a call to order. An adoption of, well, we don't have to do all the motions tonight, right? No, so we're just adoptions of the agenda. I don't know if there's anything else the council wants to add to the agenda for Wednesday. Councilor Barlick?
You just needed to add in-camera session, or is that just for today?
That is just for
Yeah.
Just said that.
Yeah. Any other additions to the agenda? We'll have tonight and tomorrow. Okay, well. Keep moving. Declaration of a conflict of interest or pecuniary interest with any of the agenda items. Being none. Delegations, presentations, and petitions. The RCMP report is in your package, however. The RCMP will be here on Wednesday. They were tied up tonight, but Jesse Colburn will be here on Wednesday to present the report and certainly take any questions we have, and also hopefully have some updates on some of the big investigations they've been working on. So we will welcome their report. We do have a delegation from our college. We have the president of the college, Dr. James is here. The board member for, I guess, the Beaufort Delta, Grant Hood, who used to occupy that chair for many years, now is kind of retired and touring all over the world and doing a few other things. And also Sarah is here. Sarah, I'm not sure what your latest position is, but
the vice president of student affairs.
okay, great. Anyway, welcome, and please take the chair and just press the button, and when everything turns red, you're good to go.
Well, start this way. Sydney John the health vita. We nasty send do it. Angela Uli. Suli, Dr. Angela James Dasushi. Aurora College President Hulieke Ravasnate. Dubil Veste Nasu. Evanadea Marcy Cho. Thank you for allowing me to speak in my family's indigenous language of Denisukine. My family comes from the South Slave, but we currently live, my husband and I currently live in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. And I am the new Aurora College president. Been on the job since August 1st of this year. And the fortunate thing for myself is that I was hired as the new president early. So I was able to spend quite a number of months with the former, the outgoing president, Dr. Glenda Vardell, who I would like to acknowledge at this meeting here as probably one of the most wonderful presidents that put Aurora College back on track. As we know, Aurora College has been through some rocky roads, and we're now coming on to more steadier, solid, and strategic direction. And I was able to spend quite a number of months with Dr. Glenda Vardell, and so was Grant and the new board of governors. And so that was fortunate in that she had already been at Aurora College for quite a number of years. And so as a result, we profited from her learning of Aurora College. So tonight we're going to provide a little bit of an update on the Aurora Polytechnic, but my words are all confused here because I sent Jenna a PDF, and so PDFs do funny things when they go into cyberspace and come onto a screen. So my apology if indeed my copy has nice, pretty printing. So we're going to do a little bit of Sarah and I and Grant are going to do a little bit of an update on the Aurora Polytechnic, the Inuvik campus and the Aurora Research Institute, a little bit of updates for you. And I understand we have about 10, 15 minutes or so to speak.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right. And so Jen is giving me this fancy thing here. We're cut off a little bit. So I'm going to speak a little bit about transformation towards becoming a polytechnique. I won't give you the long historical view, but some of the major accomplishments that have happened to date is, well, I guess maybe it needs a little bit of context in that there was an Aurora College review done in 2018, and there was a decision to move towards a polytechnic university that was accepted by the government of the Northwest Territories in 2018. So Aurora College, of course, has been mandated to take some steps towards becoming a polytechnic university. And so what the major accomplishments to date is that in 2023 and 2024, we accomplished our tricameral governance structure. Tricameral just means a triangle of governance of decision making. And so in March of 2023, Grant and his team came on board as the board of governors. And then the academic council was formed at Aurora College to look after the programs and operations of the academic nature in November of 2023. And then our newest addition on the governance structure was the Indigenous Knowledge Holders Council, which was formed in March of 2024. I first came to Aurora College as the special advisor to the president in November of 2023, and I helped to develop and engage and establish the Indigenous Knowledge Holders Council. What a job that was for 1 year. I have been in education for, although 1 year in Aurora College, I've been in Northwest Territories education for 35 years. So to know and to help work with all the Northwest Territories Indigenous peoples right from Fort Smith all the way up to Fort McPherson and further, we were able to land on 13 members of this Indigenous Knowledge Holders Council, the first of its kind in Canada. Normally in post-secondary institutes, we have Indigenous people who have advisory capacity. This is people who are sitting at the table making decisions for Aurora College. They haven't started moving yet because they were only just established, but when they start making recommendations and moving, we'll see changes happening with Aurora College. Rightfully so, because as Peter gave his acknowledgement, we are on the homeland of the Dene, the Métis, the Inuvik, and of course, the Inuvik Cree people. So we have to remember that there's no place else to go to be Inuvik and Dene, Métis, and Inuvik Cree. So we have to remember that this homeland. So this governance structure was completed, of course, in March of 2024, as I said. And we are continuing on the pathway towards becoming a polytechnique. And the next slide just kind of gives us, sorry, it's cut off, but it's some of the major steps that we've been taking towards transformation that have to do with quality assurance, organizational design, and then our own Mainland North degree that will make us a polytechnique. The latest at Aurora College is our new General Studies program. It'll be launched in September of 25-26, the academic year. And really, it's the first 2 years of the undergraduate work that leads towards a bachelor's degree. So it leads towards, it's the general studies that leads towards if students want to ladder into the Bachelor of Education or the Bachelor of Social Work program. And those two programs are our flagship programs for Aurora College. We know that in 2015 they were disbanded, and so now they're making their way back into Aurora College towards the new polytechnic. So exciting stuff on the horizon for Aurora College in 2027, 2028. This is the slide that I'll spend a little bit of time on. Simply because in the past, there was some sensationalizing of when Aurora College was deemed to become a polytechnic, there was some sensationalizing regarding Aurora College is going to have a new Tin Can Hill campus in Yellowknife and that they're going to be launching in May of 2025. Well, that was sensationalization. And it was not really what should have happened, unfortunately. So now the new board of governors, who wasn't part of that, nor was I, are now on a more steady, sturdy, solid, and strategic pathway that is looking at our steps toward the polytechnic in the way that is outlined here. I also have what I have here are some what it looks like like this, the critical milestones, if you'd like a copy. But this chart actually does a little bit more justice than this one because it's kind of hard to read, but they're available for you if you'd like to take a copy of it later. But in the steps that we're taking towards becoming a polytechnic, we have three different areas that are of importance in the middle column. We have the core areas that are necessary towards making us into a polytechnic. We have the ancillary course area that really support the polytechnic moving forward, and then we have the program delivery. So essentially, we are at number one right now, and number one and two talk about quality assurance. And so that's the steps up that right now that we're on, just like I showed you before. We are working with Council Alberta Quality Assurance Organization that will be taking a complete look at Aurora College in terms of their institutional self-study, as well as our Made in the North degree that we have to move forward on if indeed we're going to be moving towards a polytechnic. In addition, number 3 talks about our organizational design. And way down the bottom, what that means is that we have to have all our ducks in a row in terms of our Center for Learning and Teaching Innovation. What that means in college language or university language is that we need to have a curriculum place for curriculum development, instructional design, assessment management, as well as making sure that there's Indigenous language in all of our programming. So that's what that one means. So we will be working towards at Aurora College a 4-divisional approach, which looks after an Indigenous division, an academics division, a research division, and a corporate division. And so that's kind of like in a nutshell what our organizational design will look forward to. As well as Sarah's very happy to know that we'll have a new student information system, and then we'll move, of course, further into our Office of Research Studies. I'm watching my time. Number 5. We'll be completing our institutional quality assurance evaluation. And so the outcome of number 5 will really determine number 10, 11, and 12, which are the legislation for the new Aurora College, Aurora Polytechnic, as well as the Senate, as well as the launch. And so that's why it was a bit sensationalized when I heard, when I wasn't present, that we were going to launch a polytechnic in May of 2025. How on earth would you know that if indeed you didn't do your quality assurance evaluation yet? So our quality assurance evaluation is on its way. It's going to be completed by the September of 2025, and then we'll be able to determine how we're going to take the steps towards launching into a polytechnic. So the steps in between are, of course, the number 6 is launching again our general studies in September of 2025, and then we'll work towards our funding formula in right around that time in 26, 27, and then the rebranding of the Aurora Polytechnic, and then again number 10, 11, 12, which is the new program, of course, the launch of the year 3 of the Bachelor of Education, Bachelor of Social Work, and then 10, 11, 12 lead us towards becoming a polytechnic. Now, you'll notice that 10, 11, 12, say 2027, 2028, those years could be brought up sooner, depending on the evaluation. So meaning the launch could be come up sooner if indeed the evaluation says, yes, Aurora College is ready to become a polytechnic university with all the things that they study. So that's a little bit of, in a nutshell, what the Aurora Polytechnic transformation is about. You know, we're going to chart that. I'm going to try to hope that one. So I'm going to get Sarah a little bit to help me here, but Aurora campus, where we are here in Inuvik, of course, has been in existence for 20 years. It opened its doors in 2004, and it's a beautiful campus. Probably many around the table saw the establishment of the Aurora campus many years ago, and so we continue to operate in this beautiful campus that was built, opened its doors in October of 2024. And at the campus, we have several programs on deck. We have been working in the 24-25 academic year on courses that are in business administration, office administration, occupations and college access, OCAC, and university and college access, UCAP, and also adult basic education. So these are some of the courses that are offered at the Aurora campus. As well, we have some distance programs. in terms of the personal support worker, a very popular program in the Northwest Territories that has come to Aurora campus from a distance module. And then also our early learning and childcare program that's also come up to become a distance program. In addition to that, we have our trades programs. And so Aurora campus has offered 2 deliveries of the fundamentals of the carpentry program, with 8 students in the winter of 2021 and 4 students in the fall of 2022. And in February of 2024, just in a few months here, in the new year, excuse me, 2025, Aurora campus, no, this was last year. Sorry, I was right there. 2024, we hosted 35 high school students from the Beaufort Delta in the Trades Awareness Program, another really popular program with the trades field. As well, we do some continuing education programs, as you will note over here, first aid, firearm safety, Microsoft Office skills, and the list goes on. So those are a little bit about our program at Aurora College. But as I was just talking to your worship, Clarkson, Aurora College is having some trouble at the Aurora campus in that our enrollment is down. It is lowest enrollment in its history, and it's with 18 full-time students, which is about 80% down in enrollment since the pre-COVID years. So we're running into some trouble, and Sarah's going to talk a little bit about potentially some factors that impact that.
Thank you. Yeah, there are a couple of different factors that have changed since COVID. Well, and even some of these were coming into play probably before COVID. First of all, I think there's a lot more mobility for students in the Beaufort Delta to travel elsewhere. We do know that a lot of students are choosing to go to other institutions outside of the Northwest Territories. We also know that in terms of recruiting students into the region, it's often quite difficult, just because we are sort of, you know, unless you're living in the region or from the region, it's kind of more of a destination to come here. And it's quite an expensive destination to get here, we know, with travel. So that's a bit of a hurdle that we've got to kind of try to figure out how do we address. And then the third reason that we've really identified as a challenge is just the availability of funding. A lot of Aurora campuses funding for programming over the last many decades has been through third party. And a lot of that, there's been more pressures financially, and it's becoming harder and harder to find that third party funding to deliver programming here.
And so we deal with those kinds of challenges at the end of the campus. But our success story, of course, is our Western Arctic Research Center, ARI. I think that this ARI organization probably started around when Inuvik came into existence. So it's been around for quite a number of years, since 60 years in operation, since 1964. And it started off back to a Inuvik Research Center that was developed by the Indian Northern Affairs to provide support for scientific research in the Inuvik and Yukon back in 1964. In 1984, the research center became a part of the Science Institute of the Northwest Territories, and in 1995 became a part of the World College. So a really great success story is our Arctic Research Center in Inuvik. What do we offer there? We have our Western Arctic Research Center, our new facility that's just being built right now. It's coming in quite expensive at 10 million. A lot of the money has been now, infrastructure has stepped in to help Aurora College to pay for this beautiful facility. And it's of course managed by the Department of Infrastructure. But it's going to be an amazing, you are probably all around here have seen it progress and being built around us, but it's going to be a beautiful staging area for research programs in the Beaufort Delta area, offering storage space and workshop space, areas designated for vehicle maintenance, meeting space and office space. Very opportune time, because we have been experienced last year, especially some idle hands that have been hopping over the fence and some of our mobiles and some of our equipment, which is what we don't really want. So this work will be in place to do those, to be able to provide that storage space. And then we have the Innovate Center for Arts and Crafts. This center really provides a vital space for technology and traditional arts merge together to create really great opportunities for community people coming in. Offers workshops, training, materials and methods. I visited this here with the young Justin Pascal, I believe, Justin Pascal came in September to visit the Inuvik Center and really liked what I saw in terms of this center and how it really comes in from a lot of the Indigenous people with their ideas coming into technology and merging the two together. Really great center. As well, our research institute, of course, provides logistical support for visiting researchers with accommodation, lab space, specialized equipment, research technicians, workshop and storage space. Really a wonderful opportunity in the future to someday, and this is one of my dreams as the new president, is someday to have graduate programs in the area of Arctic research. But it's not here yet. We'll get there. As well, we're conducting research in these various areas: air quality, water quality, permafrost, engineer, and GIS, geographic information systems, drones, and geographical mapping. This place here is amazing and known throughout the world, our Arctic Research Center. Our Beaufort Delta area has to be very proud of this center because it's cutting edge in terms of research in all these various areas. Amazing. And then we also have some STEM outreach in community and school outreach. So we have plain language Northern research talks, family friendly STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math events. If you don't know what that means, and a lot of sport events and active programs, daycares, and after school centers. Some of the numbers for the Aurora Research Institute coming into the school system is the schools in 23-24 had a large number of about 47 events and 578 participants. Community events, 35 events with 800, that's a big number for Inuvik, 831 participants. Feature sessions as well as speaker series. Really spreading the words about the STEM program in a plain language way in schools and communities. Communities. I'm going to let Sarah speak about this last one, which is a new program coming in, the Bridge Watchman program, which is a partnership that we have with the Western Arctic Marine Training Center. And we'll be delivering that program in April of 2024. And so I'll talk a little bit about that.
Well, really, this is a partnership in terms of we are letting them use our facilities to deliver this programming, Bridge Watchman. We've had it here in the past many years ago, but it's really preparing people for work on things like the ferries or on the barges, and some of those credentials. So we're really excited that Western Arctic Marine Training Center did reach out to us and bring this training back to the Northwest or to the Inuvik region. And we're really looking forward to playing host to them.
Nice. And you'll notice a little bit of Aurora College swag around you with some gifts for you in the spirit of indigeneity. One of the very important things is gifting. So we'll gift you some mitts and hats, some chocolate, and some soft pockets, they're called. We'll put them on the back of your cell phones. So Marcy Cho, Masi Pandey.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jane and Sarah. Now, if you've got time for questions, I'm sure Council and myself will have some questions. Questions from Council.
Was Sarah presenting?
But
Okay.
yeah,
Then
I
I-
know.
So full disclosure, I came to Inuvik to teach at Aurora College, so I was 9 years at the campus teaching social work and criminal justice, and then 5 years at ARI. Coordinating international research, our polar research program, so huge advocate. And really ARI dates back to the beginning of Inuvik. One of the plans of the federal government was to build a research institute, and a big part of that was social and health research, which really we've seen a lot more physical research over the years, but since International Polar Year, which ran 2007, 2012, there's been a big surge in social and health research. And some of those researchers still contact me because I help them and they want to know where to find people. And one thing I've always thought that whether it's in campus or wherever, I prefer to just campus, that we do a program to train people how to be social and health research assistants. We have done a phenomenal job with their environmental, what do we call it now? The program Joel taught.
Oh, environmental natural resource technology.
Right, so that has always prepared people to help physically with researchers, but we really haven't addressed the social and health research, and there's always a need for people, and especially people have an understanding of what research is, how to gather data, how to do interviews and whatnot. And I don't know how much they actually use the building for doing interviews. I'm not sure it was ever a lot because the space isn't really conducive to it. But they very much are in the region, very much working and really want to share their data with their communities. And probably of everybody who worked in IPY, they were the group that had the greatest understanding of the need to return information to communities. And back in the day, that building was bursting. Sarah remembers those days, the old campus and this one. But I really think we need to bring back some of those flagship programs here, whether they're ones we had or ones we base here. I don't know if we're ever looking at a degree in Northern Studies, but this is the North. Fort Smith's not the North. Hope that doesn't get recorded. But really, if you're looking at Arctic research, this is the Arctic, and I think there could be a huge interest in people both locally and internationally coming and learning about the Arctic and how is it different. And that's everything from trades to social research to medicine. We get so many questions about it. So thank you for being here. I will support Aurora College, and thanks for the chocolate. I want you to know it was myself and Lisa Greenland who once spent an entire week in the old Research Institute trying to find the box that Andrew Applejohn had hidden very well.
May I just respond?
Absolutely.
Just to understand as well, I love, really appreciate those comments in terms of social and health research. I just happen to be one of the new governing councils for the Social Sciences and Research, Health and Research organization, SHIRK it's called.
Right.
And so just one of the, just started I was appointed in July. You can't imagine if indeed you ever want to be on the SHIRK governing council. The Privy Council looks at every aspect of your life, from your finances to your children, to your education, to every, so finally became, so that's really important for our college. To be on that kind of high level, because that means that I'll bring information home. I'll find out more about funding opportunities and research opportunities and bring that home, because it is true, the Beaufort Delta, of course, is has tremendous potential for health and social research, and we know that. Also, we have tremendous potential, in my opinion, too, for Indigenous art, and through Indigenous art, you get a lot of strong social and health healing.
I don't know if you're aware, but we actually ran Indigenous art programs.
Very much.
Right, okay, so we did the jewelry program several times, we had art, we had printmaking, and that was hugely popular. And what I really saw too was how much that built up people. And I go out to communities and those people are still making their living with what they learned from the college and how to refine their skills, so very popular area.
Once again, as Sarah has noted, that was a program that was third-party funded
Yeah,
and unfortunately went to the wayside. But what an opportune time, and one of my dreams is to bring back Indigenous arts.
so the entire time I've been involved with the college, it's always been this campus has been third-party funded. I've never understood why, to be honest, and I think we need to get base funding in here. You know, we would have things like Opposite Mid would have base funding, and I think the old refuge program did. But I used to walk out the door on a Friday, not knowing if I had a job on Monday, as we waited for the next round of funding. You can't run a program that way. But we need solid base funded programs here. We need the whole spectrum. I mean, there are so many people who will not only stay here and go to school, but come here and go to school. It's an extremely unique environment.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to sell. So thank you for being here.
And I'm just gonna have one more comment, but I have the same kind of comment and encouragement and nudge that I have with the town of Fort Smith, like the town of Inuvik. You really have to sell your community in ways that are going to ensure that people come to the Aurora campus as they would go to, of course, the Thatcha. And it really means active, engaged, and strong advocacy and selling your community in any ways that are important to be heard, not only in the Northwest Territories, but across Canada, for people to just understand the unique, beautiful, amazing place of the Beaufort Delta.
So one of the challenges we've always had here is around student housing and not having enough, especially after the old blueberry patch was torn down. Are there any plans on the campus radar to construct student housing or work with partners on it? Sarah, please don't think your head like that.
Right now, the Board of Governors, as Grant is here as well, we're starting with request for information of expression of interest for student housing possibilities in the Illinois. That's just the first step, and so the plan is to find. We do know that student housing and housing is an issue across Canada and of course in the Northwest Territories. And so we are the kind of like recipients of quite an issue. Not only in Inuvik, but also in Inuvik. And even in Fort Smith, we have still an old residential school unit that we're looking towards bringing down. But Grant, of course, is the chair of the Audit and Finance Committee who's receiving these expressions of interest. And so we'll find out more information if he wishes.
If I could just maybe speak on the board's behalf, it is something that has been discussed and looking at. The biggest issue we have right now, like if you read, I don't know if everybody's seen the news across Canada where colleges and that, the funding and they're having layoff staff. I'm not saying we're doing that here, but funding is becoming a big challenge, and that's a challenge of getting, like, even municipalities, the same thing that to be able to do things, you need money and it's expensive, and to try and find the money and just can't go, you just can't fix it overnight. And we've recognized that since we lost the blueberry patch up here, it's changed the dynamics of what housing is available for students. And you can hit me if I'm wrong, but that family type, we lost a lot of the potential there for families to come, and there just hasn't been enough money to be able to rebuild it or what we want to do there. But it is something that the board is looking at, and we're having to prioritize where we are. And right now, Illinois is a big one as it stands right now.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Romero. We have a question, I believe, from Councillor Parrott, who's online.
Thanks so much. Good evening. Your presentation was wonderful, and it sounds like there's a lot of potential for programming right here in Inuvik. It's been clear that over the last many years, we've seen a migration of programs towards Fort Smith and Yellowknife, understanding that the financial investment to the campus here in Inuvik has decreased with regards to its in-person programming, shifting many of the programs that you've mentioned today to an online version, leading to decreased student enrollment. We've also seen a decrease in staffing within Inuvik. What is your plan with the new Polytechnic transition to support staffing and a financial investment here in Inuvik so that residents don't have to leave the region to receive post-secondary in-person classroom instruction? And what does that mean for programs that used to be highly sought after within our community, like our ENRTP program, early childhood development in person, as well as the personal support worker, which was also very popular? I'm generally concerned around the lack of support that's being seen within Inuvik for the facilities that are wonderful here that you've provided a great presentation showing, and what may happen to the community of Inuvik being left behind as you're continuing to carry on with the developments of the Polytechnic. So there were two questions within my statements, one with regards to an investment financially to support in-person programming here, as well as an understanding of what will happen to the programs that were very positive here, that were in person, and if you're intending to bring them back.
You, Councillor Parrott. Dr. James.
Councillor Parrott, you ask very tough questions. And as a first year president, I am okay in saying, I don't know yet. It is challenging, of course. The programming that we currently offer in Inuvik is in person, and with the programs I just said earlier, but there's very low enrollment. And so essentially, you can have the best darn programs in the world in Inuvik. But are the students, how do we get the students to come? And so it's the cart before the, no, it's the toboggan before the dog team or the dog team before the toboggan. And so that's what I'm talking about in terms of, working with, our Aurora Inuvik campus and finding programs that are in person and that will bring back the heyday of programs that used to happen at the Inuvik campus. And we can start to work in that direction, but we also need the students. We need the buy-in from individuals who are going to be choosing Inuvik to come and do their studies. And right now, the students are very, very low. We've got 18 full-time. So when with programs that come here, like if we brought the NRTP program, we would want to, the tipping point would be if the numbers were high, and then we could continue to offer that.
Thank you, Dr. Janes. Other questions from council? Councilor Merrill?
So I just want to point out that in fact, the history that we grew some of those programs here, they were phenomenally strong. People came from across the NWT and the other two territories to take them. Then those programs were taken out of Inuvik and either Fort Smith or Yellowknife. So they need to come back. This is where they started. They got taken. So it's not a case of we didn't attract the students, we attracted a very high quality of student.
Thank you, Councilor Merrill. Oh, Councilor Barrett has another question or comment, and then Councilor Barrett.
Thank you. I'm just seconding what Councilor Murno had mentioned. It is true, those were no longer offered, and that's what had canceled the student population here. And I think taking a good hard look at investing in Inuvik again, and that does mean financially investing. It's cheaper to run programming in Yellowknife and Fort Smith, and that's been an explanation that's been provided to Inuvik in the past as to why these programs are migrated away, and that's frankly insufficient. If we're going to be investing in transitioning to a polytechnic, we need to be considering the community of Inuvik and what that means for individuals who live within our region.
Thank you, Councilor Barrett. Councilor Barrett.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I would just echo some of the things Councilor Merrill and Councilor Parrott said. I think there's a pretty strong impression in Inuvik that we're good at developing programs in some ways, and then once those get up and running well, they get yanked away and taken somewhere else. And then the programs here are just kind of left to die. You know, we have low enrollment because there's not really a lot of variety of programs being offered. Not everybody wants to do business admin or office admin. Some people want to do environmental sciences so they can become an environmental or monitor or a marine mammal observer on a ship that may be doing research in the region. So it's one thing that I think has troubled me a lot is there's a pretty distinct lack of variety, or at least that's my impression. I'm not intimately familiar with the operations of the college, but we seem to have a variety of programs in the past that offered students a choice of different pathways in their career. And I don't think we really have that now. It's kind of jamming everybody into becoming, you know, receptionists and secretarial staff and administrative staff. You know, if people don't want to take it, they're not going to go to school here. They have to go somewhere else to take those programs. That's just the way it's been outlined. So, yeah, I mean, it just, from a community standpoint, someone on the outside, the college just seems to be kind of withering away from lack of attention and resources from the governing bodies. That's the impression that I get and that other people I've talked to have. So as you've heard here, I think there's a significant opportunity to do things here. We have a great facility. I think everybody around here thinks it's highly underutilized for what it could be doing. Even the trades trailer seemed to have sat idle for years. It's a great set up facility there to offer good trades programming, and it worked well for 2 or 3 years, and then it just kind of sat there doing nothing since then. So it'd be really great to see that activated, and the whole purpose of that was to be able to move it around to other communities. You know, like talking to Clavic when the ice roads are open, McPherson, Sigachik, that just doesn't seem to be happening, and I don't know if that ever happened, even though that would, I think, was some of the original intentions, so. There's a lot of potential and just not enough attention to the northern campus.
Thank you, Councilor Baerlich. Any other questions from council? Sorry, Dr. James, did you want to respond to
Oh, I
any
didn't
of
hear what,
that last comment? Sorry.
board member,
I certainly, and the board understands whatever, I think one of the important areas is that the board and the administration is, we've only been in operation actually for 2 years, or less than 2 years now. And, well, just over 2 years, I guess. And year and a half. So part of it, the first 6 months as a board, we were just learning about the college and trying to understand where everything is. Before it was run basically by EC&E, and we've inherited a number of issues that you as a municipality, MAC has downloaded things. We as a college have been downloading stuff with EC&E. That's really outside of our really out of our mandate. And so we've been struggling. We're recognizing in our first part of what we've been doing as a board is trying to find out where are the areas where we need to improve. And now we've kind of had, because trust me, the Inuvik campus has come up a number of times in board meetings, and that's what we can do. And so now we're at the stage from a board of governance point of view, and the governance, now that we have our feet wet, understanding the process, now how we want to fix it. But like I said before, even with certain things, it's not an overnight fix. It's going to take some time to understand where we are and how we have to work at it. But it is recognized by the board of governors who are your equivalent. And so it's gonna take time. It's not an overnight solution. But we do recognize that Inuvik, there has to be something done. Doing it right and figuring out how to do it is now the next challenge that we're gonna have.
Thank you, Mr. Hood. It certainly is a challenge, and it's gonna require, I think, a major rebuilding. If we look at where we're at now, we've got 25 full-time students in classroom programs right now. Building that and getting the confidence of the Inuvik, the Witchin and the rest of the community is gonna take some major work on your part, Dr. James. If we look back, not even that many years ago, in 2010, there were 165 full-time students, 693 part-time students, at least 9 full-time programs, in-person programs, and the college was bursting at the seams, and everybody had a place to stay and things were moving. And then if you look in your annual report, 22, 23, 39 full-time students 2 years ago, and then I believe it this year, 25 full-time students. So it's not a good picture. And I think, as Councilor Baerlich said, if you offer the same programs every year and nobody's attending, maybe something else needs to be offered. And I've talked to a lot of people in town, a lot of the Indigenous offices, governments. Everybody would send people to an information technology program. We are all trying to hire people who can keep the computers running, keep the smart board running, keep the phones running. And yet we're having to hire from down south or train people ourselves. And why can't the college have a program that everybody is screaming for employees? The Natural Resource Tech program, the number of agencies here that hire those students, they could probably hire 15 student graduates a year by the time you look at all of the co-management boards, Parks Canada, DFO, the guardianship program that's got millions of dollars and they're going to be hiring people. All of those, the territorial government, we have not had that program here for years. And so now, again, we are having to hire technicians from outside that would just have a 2-year program that used to be trained here. Another program is advanced finance. We cannot find enough finance people anywhere in the Northwest Territories. And we raised this several times at the senior management meeting within the Beaufort Delta and the Sawtoo, and it fell on deaf ears. Oh, that's included in the Office Admin program. It may be included, but it's only this big. We need finance people and designated finance people in probably every community and every office. As Councillor Barrett mentioned again, the trades training, those things have become lawn ornaments. You need to get those going. We need tradespeople throughout. The Gritchen, the Inuvik are huge construction projects. Probably by the time they're done, it's going to be over 500 million. Most of those people are coming from down south because there's no people here that are trained to do some of that work. Rec leadership, all of our youth need recreation programs. We haven't had that program here for years. I don't know if it was offered anyplace else in the territories, but all of the communities are looking for recreation leadership people to keep the youth busy, keep them engaged. There's nobody in the territories being trained in that program. And I'm sure if we asked some of the other leadership and some of the other communities, there'd be other suggestions. So something needs to happen because it's rock bottom, and we appreciate any leadership you can bring to this and any comments that you have. And we've given an extra time because I think it's such a critical issue here in the Beaufort Delta that we went way over our 10 minutes because it needs the time. And it's going to take a lot more time to build that back up. Thank you.
Marcy Cho, Mayor Clarkson. I must admit that Aurora colleges and across the Northwest Territories, we're dealing with major issues as well, especially in many of the NWT school systems with our high school students that are not ready for post-secondary studies. And so what the Board of Governors is investigating and looking at is that a lot of our dollars are spent on upgrading. And so we're beginning to we need to have conversations with the NWT Superintendents Association and the principals of the Northwest Territories, because there is many students who are not graduating or are not coming in and are not ready to take ENRTP or personal rec and sports or nursing programs or things like that. They need a lot of preparation work before they're ready for certificates, diplomas, and degrees. And so I just have to bring that forward to the town of Inuvik, in addition to the Northwest Territories. This is a major issue that we're dealing with right now. Marcy.
Thank you. I mean, not to be totally critical, the Aurora Research Institute is an incredible organization. It's bursting at the seams. There's so many researchers coming in and out of there every year, and the research that the staff are doing there is, groundbreaking, and the universities and things that they're attracting from all over the world is incredible. So we know things can be done, and they were done here in the past with the college. It's just really slipped, and we just need to, I think, start from ground zero and start the rebuilding.
Just one more comment. So we have a new VP of research that has just joined us in May, Dr. Chris Patchy. And one of the programs that we're eyeballing up there is there are many, of course, there are many researchers that are coming to the Northwest Territories. So there are also many people in the Northwest Territories that already have degrees. So where's the area where we can start to build maybe graduate programs? And graduate programs, of course, may be based here in Inuvik for people who are already have their degrees here in the Beaufort Delta area to be our researchers and our people that are employed at the Arctic Research Institute.
Yeah, and since Russia invaded the Ukraine, we're getting researchers from all over the world who are focused on the Arctic because they can no longer go to half the world's Arctic, where now they're coming to the Canadian Arctic and the US Arctic. So, I mean, we welcome them because it's some great research that they're doing, and the Aurora Research Institute has played an incredible role in that. We're going to probably wrap up on that unless there are any last comments from council.
Just one question.
Yep.
Have you changed the name to the Arctic Research Institute or Aurora Research Institute?
Did I call that? Excuse me?
You keep calling it Arctic.
Arctic Research and the Aurora Research Institute.
Okay, just wasn't sure.
Sorry, Arctic Research in the Aurora Research. No, No, I have not. We have not. My apologies.
No problem.
All right, thanks again for all three of you for showing up and giving a presentation, and we will be sending a letter to the board with some of our comments, because there's it's an important issue and we need to keep this moving. I see.
Let's see, 29.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Item number 5, public question period. Questions from the public, two public members. Adoption of the minutes for the November 25th, 27th council meeting. Was there any errors or omissions in those minutes? None. Oh, sorry.
You occurred in on Wednesday, but absent on Monday and Wednesday. That was the only thing I saw.
Okay. Correct that. No other comments on the minutes? All right, action items coming out of minutes. Inuvik Works has been discussed at interagency, and hopefully we will discuss it at a Inuvik Leadership Council meeting next week. And so just checking with the leadership in the community to see whether or not they're going to be available next Wednesday or Thursday, and we'll have a further discussion and see whether everybody is in favor of getting that program going again. I think we made the motion at the last minute, at the last meeting, to initiate an intervention on the Power Corp increase, and so we've done that. We've engaged that. The pool has opened. There's been lots of kids, adults in there swimming. That's going well. And biomass versus fuel, compare costs. And Daniel, did you do the math on this? That it is cheaper with the pellets?
Yes. Yes, I did that with Vince Brown, yeah.
Okay, so that your numbers there, 36,000 with pellets and 51,400 with diesel, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Drainage plan. Okay, it was on the Reliance intersection, so we're looking at that. Solar farm, it was confirmed that the solar farm met the necessary development requirements in zoning. NWTAC, the NWT Association of Communities AGM is the end of February, the 27th of February to March 1st, and myself and the SAO will be going, but we also have one other seat if there's a council member that would like to go and see what it's like at the territorial level. But it does require with travel, you travel on the 26th and back on the 2nd of March. Is there any interest from any of the councilors to attend that? Councilor Gillis, you're interested? Okay, we will put you down then. There's also, or did we, maybe we confirm this, I can't remember. We have a director's chair on the NWTAC. They asked me if I would like it. I declined. I said, no, I've got plenty of work to do here. Certainly the first year, maybe the second and third year. But they said, well, Inuvik had that seat, Mayor Wood was in that seat. And is there any councilor that would like to be on the NWTAC board? Not at this time. Okay, we will let them know that. Boat launch, we've had 2 meetings on the boat launch, and we submitted an funding application to infrastructure on Friday. The deadline was today, and so we're waiting to hear back from them. And then we'll see what we're able to do with money we get there, perhaps some other funding, and then also money that the town has budgeted in the capital budget for that. So we'll have an update on that. Last update I have is on the student rep. The school has selected, Livia Amos, and she would have been here tonight, but she's got a cold or the flu, so hopefully she will be here Wednesday and we'll do a full swearing in and, she'll start working towards a $5,000 bursary that we provide based on participation.
I have one more addition.
And the SAO has one additional.
So another addition to the action items is the outcome of the bylaws to change, to amend the community plan and the zoning bylaw with in relation to the IRC hotel. So that has gone to the minister's office. They have prepped it. It is sitting on his desk and all the changes are that it will be back to us, signed by Wednesday. So you can put it to third reading. So that will be on the agenda on Wednesday. We just didn't include it in here because we don't have confirmation yet. So you can expect that to be third reading on Wednesday.
Okay. Who's that?
I think somebody's doing some work on the lights downstairs. I can ask them to
Okay.
perhaps
Okay.
work somewhere else. If not, it's awfully windy out and those are the
Something.
flags.
8-1.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Counselor Braddock.
So it's kind of mentioned here, but just kind of wanted to get the confirmation. Still 2 thumbs up on pool operation. We're about 2 weeks in now. Everything's okay so far.
Steve, things you good?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, everything seems to be good. I checked in with Caitlin, the pool supervisor, Monday morning. There is 0 liters of water going through our sump. We're losing, regular amounts of water through condensation in bather and entry and exit. But no signs of any failures or any problems. Then I'd be happy to entertain any more questions.
It seems like it's been very busy there.
It's been chaos.
Yeah, good. Good. We like Canada's, Counselor McDonald and then Counselor Raymond.
Yeah, you weren't here a couple of weeks ago and I asked Trace about all the attractions, if they were repaired as well. And he did say that everything was operational. It obviously isn't, the hot tub isn't working, and I'm not sure about the water side. Did you an update on that?
Not at this time.
What's wrong with it?
We are still waiting for parts for the hot tub.
Counselor Raymond.
You're saying a regular schedule and program can be implemented over the next few weeks. What's the schedule now? So I'm hearing people are asking why you're shut down Mondays and Tuesdays. That's why I'm asking.
We've historically never opened Mondays and Tuesdays. We've always been a Wednesday to Sunday operation.
Any other questions on any of the action items? Okay, seeing none, 8-1 new business. We're gonna do a request for council decision on the property tax auction. You can see the list there. It seems to grow each year. If you know anyone on the list that you think may be willing to come in and pay or get onto a payment program, we would much prefer that than having to post this and it go to auction in the new year. So I know some of these properties we're never gonna be able to collect, but we will also hopefully work on a program to be able to somehow acquire and either sell them off to be cleaned up or clean them up and sell the lots. At this point, we don't have a lot of lots for sale, especially lots that are connected to a water, sewer and other utilities. So some of these lots could be turned into housing lots that could be sold. So if you know of anybody, encourage them to come on in and talk to the lands people and make a deal to get this paid. Any questions on that? 8-1? All right. 8-2, sorry, Councillor McDonald.
Sorry, what is the process on these long outstanding arrears? If we were to try to obtain the properties,
So,
Like, in the past, I thought we had tried to force people to clean up and it didn't work out in previous mayors.
well, some of the properties on there are abandoned. The whole Talisle section, that's been abandoned for years. There's 1, 2, 3 on Brainat, they've been abandoned for years. I'm surprised no kids have burnt them down. All the windows are smashed. So that's some of them, but the cost is high. The row house on Mackenzie that was turned into a condo, that place is derelict. And there's one owner that keeps paying the taxes, the other 3 haven't paid in years. So there's a number of properties that people have basically abandoned, or the owners have passed away. And there was nobody, going to take that over, so. And they've been posted year after year after year, and no one's bid on them, but we're gonna look and probably have our development officer look at some options where the town, because for us, it's just money in, money out. We're basically paying ourselves to pay the taxes on it, but then that would give us ownership and free it up to then offer to someone to develop. Look, you clean it up, you take care of it. We just wanted to get it off the arrears list, so we're gonna look at that, because if someone wants to build a house or move in a modular, right now, we don't have any service lots for sale, so might as well do some infill on some of these that are there, and, not bad lots, they're filled, and in a lot of cases, with a bit of work, you could have, a lot that's worth 70 to 80,000.
If I could also
Yeah.
add, one of the other challenges is if the units are occupied, so say it is a renter and they are paying the owner's not paying the taxes, even if we were to acquire that, and this has happened with other people who have actually bought the properties at the tax auction, where it has taken up to 2 years, all the way up to the Supreme Court to actually remove the tenants as well. So that is a bit of a hindrance and, a barrier to getting some of those properties sold.
But there are lots out there that aren't occupied.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, no further questions on that? Moving to 8.2 is just the appointment of the tax auctioneer, and that's typically our SAO, so we'll have a motion on that. 8.3 is the big one, and probably the most important, biggest thing we do each year, and that's the approval of our town budget. And so most of you were able to attend on Sunday, where we spent the better part of 7 hours going through the operating budget and then through the capital budget. So I'm going to now turn it over to Cindy and to Stephen to lead us through some of the changes that were made yesterday. And so that everyone's able to see those, and then we can also have further discussion, make any other changes, and then Wednesday is when we would vote on that.
So just as a brief overview, we took a look at our operating budget and we were able to reduce some of those lines to reduce the deficit. So that was the first thing that we did. We brought it from a deficit of 493 down to about 125,000. So we were able to find some savings there. The other thing that we did was taking a look at the funding and the revenue. And as I explained to you, we had undervalued the potential water, sewer, and capital funding that is going to be coming from the GNWT as part of the contribution agreements. We revisited that figure and we have actually increased it with caution. And one of the reasons why we undervalued it was we don't want to think that we're going to be getting 10 million when we're really getting 9.5. So we've tried to keep that moderate, but we have increased it. So what that has resulted in is the operating budget is now at a 0 deficit. The rest of the details with regard to the funding, we will actually be discussing in camera tonight, so we can discuss more of the capital budget funding and some of the projects that we are either going to keep or modify or eliminate. So that will be discussed in camera.
Okay, any further questions on that? Okay, so that we will discuss once we get through the rest of it. Appointment of Public Works and Protective Service. Oh, this is getting into all of the committees, which I think all of you have had a fair amount of time to consider and think about, and now I guess why don't we start with the Public Works and Protective Services Committee? Again, this is looking at the town's infrastructure and our protective services, which is fire department bylaws. And so do we have, and the way we've set it up, we've got 3 counselors and students, including the student counselor on each of the committees. And ideally, if counselors have a background in some area or can provide good advice in some areas, that would be a suitable committee to be on. And I know some of you feel that there's, you know, if you've got one of the contracting companies, are you in conflict of interest if you're on the Public Works Committee? Well, the Public Works Committee isn't awarding those contracts. They're awarded by staff and by this larger table here, of which all of you will then declare a conflict of interest. But it just seems to make the most sense to have people who have the knowledge in the area on that committee. Not that a plumber can't understand the Department of Finance and all those numbers, but if that's not what you're dealing with every day, it's harder to wrap your head around it as opposed to what's required for the Department of Infrastructure. And likewise for the Department of Recreation. If you're familiar with recreation programs and are interested in that, then first of all, you'll probably show up at the committee meetings, which are once a month, but then you'll have more valuable input. And likewise for finance. So the finance and admin are and the leisure services, tourism, and economic development, and then public works and protective services. Those are our 3 main committees, and then the other committees are meet a lot less often or just as needed. Why don't, and we can address, we don't just have to be at the Public Works Committee, we can address all of the committees. So why don't I start with Councillor Merrow and we'll just work our way around the table. Actually, I'll start with Councillor Parrott. And then we'll just work our way around the table and just express which committee you would like to, or what you're open to. And then we can see how that balances out. I would like to save a spot on the leisure services and economic development and tourism for the student rep, because I think of all the areas, the leisure services would be useful to get a student perspective on that committee and what the youth would be interested in as far as town providing recreation services. So if we can, and that leaves, there's 9 spots, and with the student council, that would be the 9th one. Councilor Parrott?
I'd be interested in the leisure services and economic development.
Okay. Councilor Merrill?
Are we just doing one at a time?
Well, we'll go around the table. So yeah.
So eager, so
I know
eager.
there's some other.
I'm interested in the naming committee.
The naming committee?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilor Lemieux?
It looks like I'm going to
put my name in for Public Works and Protective Services and
Public Works, Protective Services. Counselor McDonald,
I'd be interested in the Public Works and Protective Services Committee or, well, the Leisure Services and Economic Development. Either one.
okay. All right, well, we'll note that and then we'll see how things are balanced out. Counselor Day,
Bylaw committee?
you want to be on the bylaw, okay? Any, okay, we'll go around once and see how that works out. Counselor Wayman,
Public Works and Protective Services.
okay. Counselor Barrett,
I'd be willing to sit on two. Between Public Works, Finance, or both, so. There's a lot of interest in Public Works, so I could perhaps put my name in the hat for Finance,
okay,
and admin as well as bylaw.
Counselor Gillis,
I like the leisure service, economic development and finance and administration.
okay, so is there a preference for one or the other, or?
No, just put me in.
Okay, we'll write you down for both, and then we'll see how we balance out here.
Sorry, Counselor Gillis, you listed 3 or 2?
Two. Finance and admin or leisure services, right? Yeah, okay. Let's go,
Ken.
Counselor Barrett,
I have no others.
Any- sorry.
No other one.
No other, okay, just, so you're good with, leisure services, economic development. Counselor Merrill,
So I'm interested in the lottery committee. In the past, a few times ago, we actually had 2 counselors on this in case somebody wasn't able to make it, the committee was still meeting. And really at least twice a year, so it's not a big commitment.
okay. Counselor Lemieux, you are also on the couple of the other ones down there. Is there anything else that interests you?
No, I think I'm got my hands full there.
You got your hands full, okay. Counselor McDonald,
No, those, I think the 2 that I've listed would be probably the 2 that would suit me the best.
okay. Counselor Day, is there any of the larger committees, Public Works, Protective Services, well, that one seems full.
I would help with Alana, with the lottery committee.
Okay.
Okay, we need one. Instead of-
No, I'm saying we need 2, we used to have 2.
Counselor Raymond, anything else interest you?
Pretty full, but. Bylaw, I guess.
Okay. I don't think bylaw meets very often, so, I guess once a month, okay. Counselor Barrett,
I already put in for 2.
you were put in for 2 already, okay, so. We potentially have one more seat at leisure services and one more seat at finance. Anybody interested in, I mean, we don't need 3 counselors, I guess, but if there's any interest, we do have the seats, because,
Well, the student rep is your leisure, right? So you only have 2 seats, or you still gonna put 3?
oh, sorry, yeah, no. Yes, no, I forgot, Olivia. Okay, so we've got 3 there, Gillis, Barrett, and Livia.
And Kendall.
And Kendall, if we needed the other one, so, yeah,
I could pull my name from that one and go into the naming committee with Alana.
but then we,
Then you have 3.
yeah.
So Jen.
What Kendall just.
Your student rep. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Counselor McDonald is, do you want to be on 2 of the bigger committees?
Usually a lunch hour meeting.
Are they lunch hour meetings?
Usually.
Generally?
We have to.
We want people to commit what they can actually attend. It doesn't do any good if you're,
I mean, what,
Gonna be too
if we
busy.
don't have I mean, if we don't have I mean, Melinda has already said she would sit on that if she only, but I mean, if we don't have counselors for the other committees, what?
Well, we will operate with two because there's the SAO. I'm ex officio on all of the committees. Not that I'm gonna attend all of the committees, but we'll still have representation.
Okay, no, then I would, yeah, I'll stick with the Public Works Committee.
Okay. Anything else that people want to be on that we haven't touched on? Okay, I think we've got some pretty good committees. What the committees will do at their first meeting is select a chair, which will be one of the counselors. And the alternate chair, I guess, just in case people can't make it, so to a meeting. And then staff will be in contact with when those meetings will take place. And like I said, it won't be during normal office hour working. So it'll either be at lunchtime or it will be at 5 o'clock if there's a lot on the agenda. It won't be during regular work hours. Great, thanks for those and thanks for volunteering to be on those. Okay.
I was just.
It's just 8:10.
Where did that go?
I'm really glad that I'm gonna be here soon.
I've got 8, then it goes to 9, 1. Oh, sorry, my package somehow missed one of the items. So 8:10, adoption of a snow clearing policy. And this is to provide more direction and just on who's responsible for what on the snow clearing and then the priority routes and it's just amending the SAO.
So at this time, the only reference that we have with regard to any of the snow clearing that we could refer back to is the as and when contract. And the details with that, as well as the traffic bylaw. So what we've experienced in the last year and a half is oftentimes people will call and complain about something not being done, their window not being done. Perhaps other issues where there is no clearly, like for instance, people pushing their snow into our right of way, which then interferes with our snow clearing. So a lot of this is to provide clarity where before it used to be a known, oh, well, that's, everybody knows that, but we have a lot of new staff, we have a lot of new community members or community members that expect certain things that need to be clarified. So this policy was actually started by the previous SAO grant, as I discovered today, that they were going to implement this. That way it is a good reference material that we can all use. So this is the reason why we are presenting the policy as, again, something in writing. So as a legacy document rather than trying to look back in history and not understanding where it's coming from.
Any questions or comments on the policy? Okay. And Councilor Bartlett.
Are we getting into just specific items in here? There's a few items I flagged.
Oh, okay. So that, you mean that need to be corrected or like typo?
Yeah, or clarified, not.
Oh, yeah.
Just things, for example, like in 3.2. Talking about verbal requests, but I just wonder if you should have perhaps in there that even when a verbal request is made, that be followed up in writing afterwards, even through an email. There's a documentation of that request.
Okay.
Well, it may be initiated verbally, it probably should be documented as well
Okay.
as a follow-up. In 3.3 sub 2, it's a section on RCMP or bylaw officers, but it only refers to RCMP. There's no mention of the bylaw officers in that.
Yeah.
So if it's gonna be applying for RCMP and bylaw, then you just need to write in that it also, otherwise.
Yeah.
The bylaws don't have the same authority for the way it's written. In 3.4. Just for clarity, so this is talking about how requests are issued as needed after the director's daily road inspections, but if you go back to section 3.1. It's talking about how the inspections need to be done at least once a week. So there's a bit of a discrepancy between there.
Yeah.
That needs to be sorted out. And in section 5, it's talking about sand and gravel applied to improve traction during icy conditions. I wonder if we want to put something in there that ties it back to the priority roads that are identified, if you're going to be sanding the priority roads first. To follow the same type of priority as the clearing. Or again, otherwise it could just be sanding wherever they want, so.
Yeah.
There is actually a sanding map that identifies the priorities as well.
But it's be good to tie that into here.
There's no reference to it.
There's no reference to something like that in here.
Yeah.
And then. Just the only other thing I kind of noticed, just as a general comment, whether we want to. Have anything speaking to issues of. Accessibility for persons with disabilities. I'm thinking particularly, say, along the stretch of sidewalk along the Mackenzie towards the hospital. Like that's largely cleared by the town, right? That's not property owners in that case that's being clearing that. And for people say they're in wheelchairs, if we want, and again, it's just kind of a general, I don't know where exactly it would fit, but if we want to use that as something to guide where we may prioritize some clearing in certain areas. I know often when the road is cleared, they're doing the sidewalks in that area already anyway. But there may be other areas of town that are town responsibility for clearing sidewalks. Where we may have some accessibility considerations. It's something that's come up before a few times as a note, and it just didn't seem to be reflected well in this document as it's written, so. Just, yeah.
Good point.
Bit of refinement of the way it was written, some stuff that's overall a good guideline.
We will take this into consideration, and for Wednesday, we will have a edited version.
Councilor Raymond.
There's nothing in here that mentions like private snow removal or town snow dumps. Those are like, we're not listing where our snow dumps are.
We did discuss that in there.
And there's nothing in there that I'm reading in here. It said anything about the private snow removal that ends up on the roads, that it ends up in our snow dumps, that ends up costing the community money because people doing their own driveways.
I can't hear what you're saying.
So there is a component with regard to access.
Is there anything implicated in fines or anything? Because I mean, it's like on a slow year, it's not bad. On a busy snow year like last year, it's horrible. I mean, they lay everything on the town, is what they do.
Yeah, no, people dump it onto the road for sure. Yeah.
So you're saying to include fine?
Well, I mean, there's gotta be some kind of. Yeah, exactly, because in here, there's nothing that says, don't do that, right?
It's a visit from the bylaw officer, you gotta clear
There's
this.
got to be something, there's nothing in here with immediate, there's nothing within here with 24 hours, there's nothing in here that says there's any fines that can be implicated.
If you wanna put something in where you do it, you get caught, you get a warning.
We
and
should
that's
have
how you're-
repercussions, right? So why should
Yeah,
the
like-
whole community be responsible for
100%.
one person's driveway?
So if you give a guy a warning, and then if they do it again, you give them a fine.
It doesn't tie back to a bylaw, or then.
There's
Yeah,
that's probably gotta be built, right?
And that's gonna be
It
a
might
big concern,
exist.
because there's no,
There's no repercussions for the action.
no, and I agree with you, but I'm just saying the bylaw we currently have, bylaw 2663, we don't have. What you're, just like Councilor Steve just said, we don't have that in our bylaw already, so we can't tie that. I don't know how we police it, I guess that's
We
my
can't
point.
do it,
We
you
probably
can't
have
do
to,
it this, we have to get a
we probably
bylaw
have to
first.
go to the bylaw to get that Or, no?
Yes, turn the mic on for Councilor Barrett.
What I probably.
Icon, there's Jen Center, and then
Instead of looking at a fine, because I can envision a scenario where somebody is just gonna do it anyways, and fines are appealable through court, it's a bit of a process to do that. I'd probably look at a cost recovery option, where you can invoice them through a fee policy, so then it would depend on the amount of the snow, so if it's someone with a truckload, that's not as much as someone with a dump truck load. And then you can recoup the cost, the direct cost that would be from that, instead of an actual fine from it. We found a lot more success in that because we can get actual costs back, depending on the severity of the offense, as opposed to having to go through a SOTI and go through the court system and everything else to actually issue a fine.
Okay, that's good, because I witness this all the time. I watch people push their snow into the town piles, and the town piles go all the way, and then the community's paying for it. So it's costing us more money when it should be private industry paying for the whole snow removal.
100%.
I'm probably the wrong guy to comment, because I do all.
No, that's the whole idea, that's what we
We got the most information to see for infrastructure and snow removal. But I see it all the time. I see it on the roads, I see it on the sidewalks, I see it. And, like, it's gotta be, there's gotta be repercussions on, and your way of doing it, I like that with pictures and recapturing the cost.
Yeah.
Now, so.
I could envision a scenario where somebody says, well, it's a $500 fine or whatever it may be, but that's gonna cost me $5,000 to remove it, so pay the fine. Yeah. Wow.
But I mean, also though, you gotta make your recovery cost bulletproof, though. I mean, pictures, documentation. Surrendering from the contract you're doing it, that's letter signing something, right? Something's gotta be bulletproof, otherwise you're wasting your time again.
Yeah, we'd have to, well, Dan would probably be able to put together like some, based on volume, or working with the contractor, whoever it may be, to figure out exactly what that cost would be and come up with a structure for that, but it can be done through a fee service or fees policy update, as opposed to having to revamp it, to add something to it. So just my thoughts from an enforcement perspective, but.
And probably also some education so that people know that's not what they're supposed to be doing. So, Councilor McDonald?
Yeah, so are you talking about the people putting snow onto the road where you have to remove it again or into the snow pile? But I mean, is it, you'd have to define the boundaries there. If we put it into ditches or drainage areas, is that okay? Like, this is where the education portion would come, and also the education of the community.
Start plugging up our ditches, and they start plugging up our small ditches, then we have more snow removal problem, we have a water problem in the spring.
And that's what I'm asking,
It's
like,
like
is that,
snow removal and clean ditches too in the spring, because to keep the water flowing, so we don't flood our community. And it comes down to drainages, and if they start plugging up all the ditches, and they start putting more snow in there, it creates more ice, it puts more town people out there steaming culverts, it puts more equipment cleaning those ditches that were already clean, that were filled, right? So it's.
So where do people put snow when they do their
Well,
driveways?
there's, depends on where you go, some places have.
Like with me, I
some
take
places-
my skid steer and I just push it across the road into my lot and across the street into the ditch. I've been doing that for 30 years.
And you got a small driveway, I'm talking about guys like have commercial driveways that they're putting.
No, I'm thinking about the residents in town. I'm not-
Residency depends where you are as well, because some places you have a lot of real estate, some places you don't.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess
used to be able to-
So,
But it does kind of get a little bit,
so this is more geared towards the larger, say, commercial or larger driveways that you're saying becoming a bigger problem.
Well, yeah, like for instance, you see where the snow goes in between, down behind Blue Lake Apartments there. That snowplow goes back there all winter, then it runs down that hill for 3 months. Stuff like that is drainage and things we're trying to improve here, right? But that comes with cleaning our, like, properly doing our ditches, properly putting our snow in proper piles. I mean, there's implications, right?
Right.
You pile more up higher, it's gonna create water damage and.
so we're not really looking at residents like.
Well,
doing their driveways.
residents, it's like I said, depending on where you are, like some residents have ditches that are very big and very accessible, are big yards and it don't matter.
Which areas are problematic that you found on the residential side? Just so I could kind of wrap my head around it.
Carmichael, it's tight, Mackenzie's a lot of snow on Mackenzie, main snow.
Mackenzie Road is bad, yeah, that's bad. So what it would be like between Karst's fourplex and that new RCMP fourplex, taking that snow from there and piling it on the corner of the road. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, then there's visibility problems.
So,
all kinds
yeah,
of things.
because that's what's been happening all along Mackenzie Road for years, right?
Exactly.
So this is what we're looking to correct.
Okay, let's let staff bring back something to us on Wednesday that will address, I think they've got a pretty good idea of what the concern is and what will address this problem, and then if we need to tweak that on Wednesday, we can.
Sure.
Oh, good point, Bill. Thanks, Councilor Whitman.
Just one other question here on.
Yeah.
Some issues with the stone clearing, blocking access to move garbage bins. And then having elderly people or, I mean, all people, but I mean specifically elderly people or people with mobility issues, not being able to access the blue bins. I don't know, has this come up before or?
Councilor Whitman, go ahead.
They're clean right behind, they do snow, they just know, they're clean right behind that equipment. So if they have no access for an hour, it's just the machines are coming behind. There's a way it works is the graders go ahead, the loaders, and another one comes behind cleaning the garbage.
It maybe just,
And there's the odd one.
I was gonna say,
And then, you know, like,
specifically,
we got a phone,
because that's what I see in.
and we got a phone call and it's on.
Okay, that's all, yeah.
I mean, we're pretty good at communicating that.
Yeah.
Plus, we have a QC guy that drives around through the stuff, so.
Okay. Councilor Gillis.
And your team has been like scraping off the pad? Awesome.
Okay. We're good on the snow removal. Okay, thanks. We're moving to 9.1 bylaws, bylaw 2746, acquire commissioners' lands. This is for the cemetery, because we've expressed at previous meetings, we are down to the last few plots in the cemetery, so we need to expand sooner than later. So this will acquire that land to do that, and then we'll do some of that work this summer to get that organized and set. Councilor Wayman?
Now, I see this in the last numerous years, we're acquiring commissioners' land. And we're stepping going after this. Is there, with all the new systems of drone surveys and all that, is there a way we can do a overall municipal drone survey and get all our land and quit playing this game every year? I mean, I've seen drone surveys come across with kilometers and kilometers, and the whole airport, for example.
Yeah.
With a drone survey, and is there a way we can start putting in our strategic plan to, it's not gonna happen in 1 year, I understand that, but maybe strategically over 5 years, map our community and own our community to our municipal boundaries? Is that a possible task or ask or?
No, and that's actually been something that's been discussed at the territorial level. And pretty much from the Cleat Show north are good to go and do that. The problem has been always the South Slave, North Slave, but they don't have land claim agreements. Because then they're afraid they're going to give away land that may be claimed. And this is at least 20 years, this discussion, because there's no reason why we shouldn't own all the commissioners' lands and then save, a month and a half of what we're going through here now, where we, gotta go and request permission
Well,
for
it
that.
slows us down, that's what it does.
But
We've got other things to deal with, and if we get this in our strategic plan and take care of it, we don't have to do this.
yeah,
And we don't have to, and we're not looking at anyone's private land, we're looking at the municipality of Inuvik, our boundaries, right?
yeah, all commissioners' land, but it would also save people time, because if somebody wants a piece of that commissioner's land somewhere, they have to come to us, we have to
Yeah,
request it.
I know the
And then once
process,
we
it's a long
request
process.
it, and it's gotta be surveyed, and so it's 6 months or a year before they can actually get it, where if we had it and it was already surveyed, then they could buy a land just like they would, buy a lot somewhere, so.
And I think that would promote to a lot of our growth.
Maybe we can check in on that and just talk to the Department of Lands to see whether or not at least acquire the ones that are closest to development areas, so that, that are most likely to be, requested at some point. Daniel, you had a comment or question there?
No, I couldn't hear what you were saying. I
Oh,
thought
okay.
the question was directed to me, so.
No problem, thought you were gonna clarify something there, knew something you didn't. Okay. 9.2 annual borrowing bylaw, this is just on the corporate credit card, it's something we have to do each year. 9.3 annual borrowing bylaw municipal line of credit. Again, a lot of, we just need to have that in place. And that's it for 9 and 10, we don't have the department updates at this meeting. And information items, I think was included in your package. Arctic Energy Alliance had the community energy profiles and have just included that. I think it was done in 2018. And they'll be working on that again as they do the community energy plan. But a lot has changed even since 2018 with the wind tower coming on, all the solar panels. And then with the M18 coming on stream in 2026, hopefully. So there'll be a lot of changes, and that's important to us because that drastically affects our budget as a town. Cost of living for everybody else in town, including ourselves. So the energy plan or where we get the energy and what it costs us all is important information. Any other information items from any of the council members? Any council concerns, questions? Okay, I just need this is the one motion we do have to do is a motion to go in camera. Moved by Councilor Gillis, seconded by Councilor Fairlick. All in favor? Carried, so we'll go, let's take a quick 5-minute break and we'll go in camera. Councilor Parrott, if you can stay online, because we're turning off the recording, but you'll still be connected.
Sounds good.
We're not going to the dentist.
Then they broke all the teeth.